We've got Amanda on the show today. She's here to share her son's home birth, Fino's home birth. How old is Fino now?
He'll be 3 in February.
Oh my God.
So, I guess I'll begin by saying I chose to have a home birth because for me, hospital birth was never an option. It never in my mind thought, oh, when I have my baby, I'll go into hospital. There's just that never crossed my mind. Even though I never even knew anyone that had a home birth. I know a few of my friends now have had home births, but at the time, no one. Mostly traumatic hospital births was all I knew. So home birth is what I chose. I went through the system, NHS, and everything's free. We don't have to pay for anything. No worries about insurance or anything like that covering things. And that's just what everyone I knew did. So you go to your midwife appointment. So in the UK, we're midwife led, unless you're classed as high risk. So you have like more of a condition. So everyone else is just midwife led. So you see your midwife, you birth with a midwife. That's just normal practice.
Do you get to choose who your midwife is?
No,
Okay.
no. And the midwife that I saw was the same midwife throughout every single appointment in my pregnancy. But then the midwife that came to my birth was completely different. So I'd never met her. She just appeared in my home. And there were no.
Was it kind of like, it might happen. I might not be able to arrive when it happens and you might get someone else. Okay.
Yeah. So I knew that the likelihood of her coming was very, very slim because I think she was. Yeah, I guess maybe they're only on shift every other day or half of the week. And then obviously you've got the day and the night shift. So technically they're only on shift a third of the week. So the likelihood of getting that person is somewhat slim. And they don't go out to special call outs. They'd only attend births within their shifts.
Okay.
And I don't know, it seemed fine with me at the time. I never thought, oh, but there'll be a stranger in my home. Um, yeah, and all my appointments were just normal. Everything was fine.
In the UK for the prenatal appointments, do they come to your home or do you go to
No,
a
you
hospital?
go to like the doctor's office and then you see the midwife there.
Okay.
So it's definitely not as pushy as it is in the US, and there's definitely not as many tests that they do. And I personally turned down all of the tests that I was offered. It just didn't make sense to me. So I did choose to turn down those, just the ones like the test to see if your baby has any conditions, like that kind of thing. Because to me, it didn't matter. It wouldn't have made my decision to continue the pregnancy different. I would have just continued anyway. And I didn't feel that if my baby had something, I needed to then research that and know everything during the pregnancy. I just would have figured that out at the time. I didn't want to know the sex of the baby, but I did have scans. And at the time, I didn't know the dangers of scans.
Why didn't you want to know the sex of your baby?
I was obsessed with watching birth videos, and the part where they announce if it's a girl or boy just seemed so special to me. And me seeing it or my partner seeing it for the first time just seemed so magical. Whereas
Mm.
some woman scanning me saying it's a boy doesn't really seem very magical. And in the US, I see a lot of gender reveals where the parents didn't know and they maybe write it down in an envelope and they pass it to the balloon person or whatever. But the NHS won't do that. They won't write down the sex. So you couldn't even do it in that kind of way.
Oh, interesting.
You can book for a private scan and do it that way and pay the extra money, but still I just wanted to know when the baby came. And I wasn't interested in buying a certain gender range of clothing either. And I had friends that had told me, "Oh, I found out it was a girl," and then everybody bought me pink dresses. That's not what I wanted. So, but I will say that when I was around 30-ish weeks, and then they start to say things like, "Oh, you're measuring under or you're measuring over. We'll have to send you for another scan." And routinely, you'd only do your two scans, and that didn't sit right with me. And I thought, "Oh, I don't really want another scan. That's not really necessary. I don't feel like I need extra testing. I'm fine. I'm not concerned if my belly's measuring a centimeter more than it should right now. It's all good."
How
And
how
every
close
week
is the hospital to you?
it was, because we've moved now, but at the
Uh-huh.
time it was about 40 minutes. And there were maybe half an hour, 40 minutes, I suppose, depending on traffic. And there were three hospitals in each direction. I just hate hospitals. I thought, why on earth would I want to give birth here?
Were you born in a hospital? Or did
Yeah.
your mom? Okay.
Yeah. I was born in a hospital and my birth was really quick. My mum went in, oh, the baby's coming, straight to delivery or whatever. And ta-da, baby's here. So my mum wasn't traumatized at all. And when I told her that I was having a home birth, she was totally cool with that. I hear a lot of stories of friends that wanted to have a home birth. They told their mum, and then their mum projected a lot of fear onto them about that.
Yeah, your mom's
It was
cool.
really, yeah, it was really cool. So I was really grateful for that.
Aw. And how was pregnancy for you? What did you enjoy eating? What did you find anything that you really, had an aversion to?
So before I was pregnant, I was vegan, and and I was like whole food based, lots of smoothies, lots of juices, all that kind of stuff, cooking from scratch. And suddenly I couldn't stand smoothies or even juice or anything, any vegetables, salads, nothing. Yeah,
What season did you get pregnant?
June,
Okay.
I just couldn't stomach anything aside from very dry things like crackers, biscuits. Yeah, next to nothing, maybe a banana. And then the first thing out of that, I thought, I want some butter on toast. I want some toast. No, it's got to have butter on it. And I thought, and then I started craving the eggs, and I thought, some eggs. Okay, I'm gonna have some eggs. Yeah, okay, this is different. And I just listened to my body straight away, and then slowly but surely, I fancied a cheeseburger, like a really dirty McDonald's cheeseburger. I think it was the real salty stuff that I was craving. So I had my McDonald's cheeseburger. It wasn't it wasn't the best diet to start the pregnancy. And I remember trying to Google all these things. How can I stop feeling sick? And I just couldn't really come up with anything aside from just try and nibble throughout the day. But I was violently sick morning, noon, and night.
Was it the same for you? So for me, once it literally was like second trimester just started, everything just went away. Like the nausea.
I know so many people say that, but that didn't happen to me
Okay.
because I was sick until about 25 weeks. So almost going into the third
Mhm.
trimester, I guess.
Well, what's also funny is I mean, being pregnant for the first time, I had like, expectations like I'm gonna eat this, this, and this to get everything right for my growing baby. Like everything went out the window, and I literally was just eating a sourdough baguette, just like the whole baguette like that with like butter. I was like, I'm gonna get this much amount of animal protein. Like that went out the window. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? How you have these expectations, and then when you're feeling that sick,
Mm-hmm.
you just do whatever you can.
Yeah.
And I was teaching at the time, and the children have a 6 week summer holiday. And for that whole 6 weeks, I was just in bed lying down. And as soon as I woke up in the morning, I tried to eat a biscuit. And then, but once that was over, it was fine. It just felt so normal. Yeah. And I enjoyed it once the sickness was over.
That's
I was like,
awesome.
I was doing up my house and renovating and up and down ladders and taking things to the skip and decorating and everything. It was great.
Yeah.
Even even during my labor. What do you call this the skip? Like the dump?
Yeah, like to throw stuff away. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah,
So
the
like
dump.
big stuff that can't just
Yeah,
go in
the
household waste.
dump.
So yeah, we call it the
Mm-hmm.
skip.
Okay.
Um yeah, during labor we went to the skip. Yeah.
Wow. Oh my God. Okay, I gotta hear all this. Okay, like you took a pregnancy test, or did you go to the hospital and take a urine test?
So I did a pregnancy test. And I knew I was pregnant instantly. Like on the day of ovulation, I knew that I was pregnant. And I didn't rush to take a pregnancy test. It was, I think, 4 days past the period that was that never came. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I know I'm pregnant, but let's just do one so we can all see.
Were you practicing fam, or were you on birth
Well,
control?
so I'd say I was half practicing it. So I tracked my periods and they were very consistent. I then had like a rough idea of when I should be ovulating. And then around that time, I knew that I was ovulating. I was able to like check in with my body and I always felt like that little cramp. And I always tried to see, oh, I wonder which side it is. It definitely feels like it's that side this month and that side this month. And but I never checked anything like cervical fluid or anything. And I thought if I don't get pregnant straight away, then I will maybe dive into this a little deeper and get a better understanding of it. But I was pregnant the first try. So I sort of thought, okay, well, I'll look into that
Yeah.
in the future. Yeah. So I've got a like pretty good understanding of what it is, but I've never done any hard research because I've never wanted to avoid so bad. And we always said like we'll leave it up to the gods.
Yeah.
So I was happy to continue that way.
Okay, so in the UK, uh so as you're getting into 30 weeks, what's the prenatal care looking like?
I think it's from around 30 weeks that you start to see your midwife once a week. And they just check, they do the fetal um tape measure. What's that called?
Is it the fundal height?
Fundal height. Yeah, that's
Okay.
it. They check your fundal height with the tape measure. They check your blood pressure. I guess they draw blood just to check that your iron levels and stuff, because if your iron levels are too low, they potentially wouldn't let you have a home birth. But I was all good there, and
And
my
Did your care feel warm and like personal?
It did actually.
Mm.
Yeah, it did. I really liked going to see my midwife. She was really sweet. And when I told her, no, actually, I think she instigated the home birth first. I was ready to, I always wanted a home birth. So when she sort of said, "Oh, and your options could be a home birth or da da da," and I said, "Yeah, yeah, I'm going to go for the home birth." And she was really excited. I know so much more now, but yeah, at the time, it just seemed that she genuinely was excited for me to have a home birth.
Does the UK have birthing centers?
Yes.
Oh, they do. Okay.
So it's either at home birth, midwife-led birthing centres, or hospital. But the birthing centres are often attached to the hospital,
Uh,
but no doctors would be there. So if you then need to get transferred for emergency care or whatever, then you're right there.
yeah. And then so when would your birth season be for Fino?
February.
February. Okay.
So I was expecting like late February, early March. Yeah,
Did you have a baby shower?
I did actually. Yeah, my mum organised it. I didn't push for it, but my mum said, "Oh no, it would be really nice if you have one." I said, "Really? I don't know." And she said, "Well, your friends would love to come, and your friends' family, they love to give you gifts and things like that." So I said, "Okay, yeah, let's do it." And actually, it was really sweet. It was really sweet. I had a lot of mostly family, a couple of friends. We played fun games. Everyone had a really nice time. And I got some lovely gifts. And I said to them, I don't want any like cards or anything, but if you could give a book instead, that would be really sweet. And you can just write a little message in there. And secondhand is even better.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I wrote it in a nice poem type way.
Oh, cool.
I got a lot of books, which was really sweet.
Yeah, that's a great idea. So let's you want to get into the birth?
Yeah. I woke up to sensations and just went about my day as normal. They were happening every sort of half an hour. So I was like, okay, just a normal day, but things are happening. We went to the dump. We went we went to someone was giving away a load of nursing bras for free on Facebook Marketplace. So we went to pick up those. And I just remember saying at intervals throughout the day, "Oh, I'm having another one. Oh, I'm having another one."
What was Manny's reaction?
Just so like casual, like, okay, okay. And we just did a bit of food shopping. Oh no, an entire food shop, actually. Yeah, we really filled the cupboards. We'd planned a load of meals frozen, all in glass containers, so that things like lasagna, for example, that can get take out the freezer and then straight into the oven. So we froze probably about 3 weeks worth of food. So that was great. So all we had to do is then just buy like the fresh fruits and vegetables and snacks and drinks for labor.
Mhm. Did you do you and Manny did all the cooking, the 3 weeks of food?
Yeah, well, no, pretty much just me. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
I
And
just batch cooked for couple of months, I suppose. So every time I cooked something, I cooked extra, and then one portion went in the freezer, one portion we ate.
yeah. How did you know to do that? What did your mom tell you to do that? I mean, or like you had experience doing a
No,
meal train for a friend?
no, never. I don't think any friends told me this, but I must have watched it on. So we don't really watch TV, but I watch a lot of YouTube channels and a lot of family channels, and some of them must have just said that they prepared food in the freezer.
Yeah. As a cook and a foodie, I didn't do any of that. It's like
really?
Yeah, like, why didn't I, Yeah. Should have.
That was good. It was really good. Just
Yeah.
to have just to have those maybe it's because I know that Manny's not a big cook, and I know that I wanted to be well nourished postpartum. Um, I remember the first meal he made me was noodles for breakfast. Which
Yeah.
which is fine. That's so normal in Asia, but not so much in the UK.
Yeah.
Just made me laugh.
Yeah.
But no, we did our food shop. I actually went to go and visit a friend who had had her baby a couple of weeks earlier, maybe I think 3 weeks before that. So I held her tiny newborn, and
While you
by
were
this,
yeah, you're
oh
having
yeah,
sensations. Oh my god. There's the
yeah,
oxytocin. Whoosh.
yeah, just slowly getting closer and closer throughout the day. So they started around half an hour, and then by around 6 or 7 p.m., I was at her house. So it's been like 12 hours now, and they were coming about 7 minutes apart and stronger. So I said to Manny, I think we're gonna have to go now. And I said to my friend, I'm definitely having contractions now. So I'm gonna go. Need to fill up the birth pool.
Yeah.
So went home, and then I called my midwife. Oh, hello. Things are starting to pick up now. I hadn't spoken to her at all before this. Um yeah, and then she said, "Oh, well, you'll be here for a while, so, give me a call back when things are closer together." So I hung up the phone to her, and I tried like, sitting on a birth ball, and that was not nice. Just sitting down just did not feel good. Like, okay, I'm just gonna have a bath. So I got in the bath around 9 p.m. and I called her again, just probably an hour later to say, no, things have definitely sped up already. They're like 3 or 4 minutes apart now. So she said, "Do you want me to come out?" I said, "Yeah, probably." And I tried timing the contractions because that's what they want you to do to see how long they last. But that was just awful. I was like,
Yeah.
ridiculous. I
How
need
are
to.
you coping with your sensations? Were you like, do you remember? Like, was it a lot of like breathing and like just like for me, I was just like, gritting my teeth and,
So at this
breathing through it.
point, they were fine. I was just sort of breathing and just swaying, and Manny was running around filling the pool up, and I was just sort of joking with him. So it was very light-hearted at this point. So then I took myself off, went and had a bath. It's around 9 p.m. The midwife came around 10 p.m. They were popping in and out of the bathroom. "Are you okay?" "Yeah, I'm fine." "Oh, it's just early. How's your contractions?" "Fine, I'm having one now." She's like, "Okay, we're gonna be here sometime. See you later." She went downstairs, and I could hear them all laughing as they were filling up the pool. And then she said, "Um, the birth pool is really cold, and we thought because we had it was a jacuzzi, we thought it would bring up the temperature quite quickly, but it didn't. It brought up the temperature by about half a degree an hour, and we'd attached it to the garden hose pipe, so it was freezing cold.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. Yeah. I don't know how water tubs work. So it comes with like a heater?
Yeah,
Okay.
so
Like
you
it
can keep it at a set temperature, but we didn't realize it took so long to
Interesting. Okay.
heat up.
That's a good thing to know.
That's a good thing to know if you're birthing in a jacuzzi.
Yeah.
Check how quickly it takes to heat up. Or we abandoned the hose pipe and then Manny attached it to the kitchen sink so that it was filling up with the warm water. But it already had some freezing cold water in it. So it was only at 30-ish degrees. So then they were boiling hot pans, tipping all of those into the pool. And they were laughing, and I remember them saying, "Oh, how many midwives does it take to fill a pool?" While I'm just in the bath listening to my beautiful chorus, just chilling in the bath. I felt so good. I was just really connecting with my baby, telling them, we're almost there. We can do this. So I'm in the bath till about midnight. And then they said, one of the midwives came up and she said to me, what are you going to do if you can't birth in your birth pool? Where do you want to birth? I was like, I'll just stay here. I'm fine.
Mhm.
I'm just fine. She said, well, you can't give birth here. There's not enough room for us all to get in, you know. I'm like, what? No, I'll just stay here. You don't need to do anything. Just go back downstairs. So in my head, I just thought, but I'm just gonna have this birth, and you're just there if I need you. But you're just fine. You don't have to be involved in this. And I think that's the sort of mindset I had the whole time, is that they'd just be there, but I might not need them, or that I wouldn't need them, but they'd
Mhm.
just be there. And then they came up. They said, we need to get you out of the bath now. Just maybe you need to be upright just to get the gravity going, because your contractions are not that strong at the moment
Did your water break?
in the bath. Yeah, it broke in the bath. And things had ramped up a little bit after that. Yeah, I got out of the bath and they said, go and lie down on your bed and we'll examine you. Like, okay. And then one midwife looked at the other midwife and went, "Only 2 centimeters. We're going to be here a really long time." This was like gone midnight by this point. And then things after that, so I think she may have done a bit of a sweep to ramp things up. Who
What's
knows?
that like? What does that mean?
So I think they literally go inside the cervix to check how many centimeters you are and then do a little like scraping, maybe. I don't really know. She wasn't in
Yeah.
there long,
Yeah.
but I remember her saying something like, "Oh, I've just done a bit of a sweep." Okay. I don't know what you just did, but whatever.
Mhm.
And then things definitely ramped up from there. And then I remember it was just me and Manny in the bedroom. And she came in and out and said, "Oh, we think we're going to be here a long time. So we're thinking of going and then coming back." Now, they don't put a time frame on things until you get to 3 centimeters. Once you're 3 centimeters, then you establish labor, and then you've only got 12 hours before they'd transfer you to hospital. So they said, "We don't want to check you again, find out you're 3, and then we have to put this limit on it." So they actually seemed like they didn't want to have to transfer me, so they didn't want to check me, and they just wanted to leave me to it. But I thought, no, he's coming really soon. You don't have time to go and come back. And then they went downstairs. Manny was still trying to get the pool up to temperature. And then I came down because I thought I really want to go in the pool again. The pool was downstairs. So I came downstairs and it was 36 degrees. And she said, it's got to be 37 degrees. I said, nope, I'm getting in. I felt another contraction coming. And then, no, 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 I'm getting in. I thought, oh, that's so good. And then from then, I just felt relaxed again. It didn't feel nice being in my bedroom and being on land. I just didn't like it. As
Mhm.
soon as I was back in the water, I just felt a weight lifted. And then it wasn't long before I felt that bearing down and my body was pushing. And you could hear that in my voice.
Wow. What position are you in?
Just sort of like on my knees, but
Uh-huh.
it's the pool was big. So I was very sort of floaty, kind of like on the side like this. But yeah, I was very supported by the water. And she said, Amanda, you sound like you're pushing. Like, well, I'm not doing it myself. My body's just doing it.
Uh-huh.
And I always knew that I wouldn't push. I'd just let my body do whatever it
Mm.
needed to do. And I would never listen to someone telling me to push because I knew that that wasn't good and that could potentially cause tearing and stuff.
How did you
And
know that?
I just trusted my body so much. And don't know that. I was just obsessed with birth videos and birth podcasts and all different podcasts. So like the Free Birth Society podcast. So I was very aware of free birth. So side note, I don't know why I didn't free birth. I have no idea. I think it's just because nobody was doing it. So it was in my world. I knew about it, but this light bulb moment that I could do that hadn't gone off yet.
Totally, because it was a whole year before listening to Yolanda on a podcast, and I was like, "Oh my god!" And then it was like a year later, and like I knew about it, but I was like asking about midwives in my town, like totally,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I can't remember if I found it before I was pregnant or no, it was definitely before. No, it was before. And I listened to it all the time. It was like my meditation for the day. Just go and get in the bath, put that on and listen to it, absorbing it. I was constantly listening to positive birth stories, watching positive birth videos, but also sort of like general pregnancy podcasts. So they were talking about more hospital type stuff. And so I was hearing about it. And every time I heard it, I just thought, no, hospital's not for me. I'll just have my home birth. The midwives will just be there, but they won't need to do anything. But then when they heard me start to make that pushing noise, I can hear it in my voice, that's when they both came over. And then they started checking the heart rate of the baby between every single contraction. So the contractions are coming like every 2 minutes, and they're checking between that. And the pool's big, so it was kind of awkward. And she was like reaching over and making me move, and it was annoying me. And every time a contraction came, so this was pushing stage now. Every time I felt a sensation come and she went to check the heart rate, or she'd say, "Oh, yeah, on this contraction, you got to push your baby out." She started saying that. My contraction just disappeared like that. But like, I'd start to feel that push and then gone as soon as she spoke. And she said, "No, no, no, Amanda, you need to push." And I'm like, "No, no, you need to shut up." And the funny thing is I have this on video.
Uh-huh.
You can see it so, so clearly. So I've watched it over and over. So I know that it's not just my memory, it actually happened.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so fascinating to me to see, wow, every single time she spoke, my contraction disappeared. And I had to wait for the next one. But I had such a strong belief in myself. I knew that I could do this. I knew that I could zone her out. Well, to some extent. I knew I could ignore her telling me to push because I didn't need to do that. And I was constantly telling myself that I've got this, I can do this, I don't need you to stand. And my baby came at 2:30 a.m. So the midwife, she was only there for 4 hours.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't a long time that she was there. So yeah, baby came out. I scooped him up onto my chest straight away. And it just felt so perfect. He came out just looking at me, gazing into my eyes.
Oh.
He didn't cry for a few minutes, but he just eyes open, connecting, looking right into my soul. And Manny, sorry, I missed a bit. Manny jumped in the pool with his clothes on and was behind me. So he was right there
Oh. And you
holding
have a
me.
photo, that picture
Yeah.
with him behind you. Yeah. Oh, it's all the way back there. Okay, so that's that moment. Yeah, I know that. That's your
Yeah, yeah.
profile picture on Instagram.
Yeah. Yeah, the one of the midwives was like, "Oh, that's such a sweet picture. Let me get your phone." So, if they were good for anything, that was That was
Yeah.
one thing that they were good for. Because after that, they started getting more and more annoying. They were just all up in my space. So imagine this perfect baby's come out. He started to cry. His eyes are open. It's obvious that he's so, so healthy. He didn't come out covered in goo or blood or anything. There was no blood in the pool whatsoever. A couple of like bits of goo, and that's it. Um, and then they put the towel around him, fine. But then they started trying to pull the towel away because they started going, "Oh, what is it? He, she. We don't know what we've got. What is it? Let's have a look." And I was like, "Whoa, I will look. Thank you very much."
Yeah.
And then I announced, "It's a boy. It's Fino." Because I only had one boy for my boy, one name for my boy.
Uh-huh.
Just Fino.
Oh. So what do you do with the cord and the placenta, and when do you birth your placenta?
So they, so so he's on my chest, placenta's still in. And they said to me, "Okay, we're going to have to get you out before you birth the placenta because we need to check how much blood there is. And inside the water, we can't really check that." And straight away, I thought, no, definitely not getting out of this water. Okay. But I thought, I'm not going to tell you that because you're going to force me. I thought, my placenta will come. I'll just stay here. So, lucky for me, it came out very, very quickly, probably within 20 minutes. So I was like, oops, my placenta came out.
And with
Uh,
that, you came out when you were in the pool?
yeah.
Oh, okay. Did you have to bear down at all for that? It just kind of
I felt when I was holding him, I felt another sensation come and then it just,
uh-huh. Cool.
yeah, didn't have to put much thought into it at all. It just came. Um, and then I remember them showing me the cord and saying, "Look, it's white, it stopped pulsating. Let's chop that and take the baby away." I was like, "Oh, okay." And they gave the scissors to Maddie. Maddie chopped the cord. It was white, but I would have not chopped it at that point. Definitely would have left it for longer. I was happy to cut it, but I definitely would have left it longer. And they took him away, took Fino away. They didn't ask anything, they just took him. They weighed him and put a hat on him. And they asked me if I wanted to do the vitamin K injection. And I'd said, "No, I'm gonna do the drops, whatever it is." So I thought I don't want like an argument here. I'm just gonna say I want the drops and then probably not even give them. But then they said, "Oh, but it's gonna be so difficult for you to remember doing this, and you need to if you just do it now, it's really quick, it's over." Da, da, da. And I thought, okay, okay, and I let them do it. So they injected him, and then they gave him back to me. I got out onto my sofa and there was really like no blood at all. I wasn't concerned at all. I felt so with it, so normal. I didn't feel just felt like I'd had a spa day, really. I
Oh,
just,
yeah.
just got out my jacuzzi, my hair wrapped in a towel, and I was just so excited for them to just leave. And they did clean up and leave quite quickly. But I just remember thinking, oh, he's been separated and he's not breastfed yet. And now I'm in a dressing gown and I didn't have enough skin to skin and he's not breastfed yet. What do I do? Shall I try breastfeeding him now? They were like, yeah, you can do now. I was like, okay. It was a bit like weird because you've taken my baby away. And then kind of like latched on, but not like great. And we had to really work hard at that for the first 3 days. It was really tough. Like he just wouldn't really like get a good latch. And the support was was fairly good. I had people coming in and out, and different midwives and like breastfeeding support would come out, and but it was a bit of a battle and a bit of a worry, I think, because he just wouldn't properly latch on. And I always think that that must be because he was separated. But who knows? The worst part for me is that the next day they made me go into hospital to get these baby checks that I wasn't prepared for. That nobody told me about this. And my mum drove us to the hospital. So imagine 40 minutes drive to the hospital plus about 20 minutes waiting to get a car parking space and then walking all the way up to the maternity ward and then sitting in a waiting room for an
Oh,
hour
wow.
and then going in for one hearing check and then coming out and then
Yeah.
waiting and then going for another check and then coming out and waiting. And not only had I not held my baby this whole time, he hadn't fed. It was about 4 hours. And that is a really long time for a newborn. He was just fast asleep pretty much the whole time. And then one of the midwives said to me, "Oh, how's feeding going?" I was like, "Well, not great because I've just been in and out waiting for the last 4 hours."
Yeah, I'm surprised because I would think the midwife would do all the exams at home.
Mm. Yeah, and I think if I'd have pushed it, maybe they would have. But she said, "Oh no, you need to come in. It's a specialized midwife that needs to see you."
Hmm.
And I was just, I don't know. I think in a bit of a bubble. So I was just saying yes to everything. I remember telling people my birth story, and they thought, and what they thought was, this is the most amazing birth story I've ever heard. This is absolute perfection. You must be so pleased. You must be so proud of yourself. But the whole time I'm thinking, actually, so much of it was really shit. Was awful, actually. So yeah, there's so much that I wanted to that I want to rewrite, that I do completely differently. And yeah, I guess I did have the most perfect in the system birth possible. And I'm so thankful for that. But yeah, that was the light bulb moment for me then. That aha, okay, I see. You can't have this physiological birth in the system. No matter how much I trust in my body, no matter how strong I am, no matter how much I say no, it's not possible. So then I thought, I've got to work with women now. I need to work with women. I've got to show them what's possible. I need to like be a guide for them and whatever else because we're just so lonely out here. 'Cause that's how I felt. And I just felt I need someone. I didn't know where this woman was. So I thought I'm gonna have to be this woman for other women and I need to find my women. So I set on a quest to do that. Now I know.
Well, knowing you from RBK school and continue to speak with you after we've completed the course, I know you're like so badass. You're chill, like nothing phases you. And I feel like who you are as a woman really you held space for yourself during your birth. You knew. Yeah, you knew what to do. You listened to your body, even trying to tune out the midwives.
And it worked up until a certain point, and then, yeah, you just feel like in this bubble, and I just let things happen. Like, looking back now, I'm like, "Whoa, why did I ever let that happen?" But just somehow it does.
I feel like it's harder. I mean, it's like we can ask ourselves that, right? Like being a strong woman, being embodied, but when we're in that, when we're in the environment, because I feel like I experienced that when Bjorn had infant botulism. I feel like I know what it's like now. It's harder to say certain things, and things are happening so quick too.
Yeah.
Like when he was there, the first day in the ICU, the nurse had sugar drops and didn't even ask like me or Bjorn, can I give this to him? Can I give this to you? Like, oh, just drop him in as he's getting an blood drawn. Just put it in him. And you're just like, okay, like, things are
Yeah,
happening
well,
so
too late now.
yeah. Yeah. So how does postpartum look like for you?
Well, it was 3 weeks before the initial lockdowns. So I was very set on having no guests until I was ready. I didn't really put a time limit on it. Although I didn't tell anyone that he'd come, and my mum turned up the next day. So I was happy for her to come. She was coming, she made us curtains, so she was coming to hang a curtain up. And she came in. I was like, surprise! Baby. She was like, ah! That was fun. I did not stay in bed because I was stupid. I came out, yeah, well, because I was forced to go to the hospital the next day. I was like up and at it straight away. So all day I sort of was resting on the sofa. So I was on the sofa all day and then the bed all night. So still kind of resting, but not the way that I should be. I healed really quickly. It was surprising how quick I healed because I was up and about. And I remember after just 1 week, I was like, I've got to get out this house. And I went for a walk, very, very tiny walk. But I just want to go to the supermarket and buy my own food. I rested in between and we started getting a hang of like the breastfeeding and stuff. And I had my meals prepared and it was mostly just me, Manny, and my mum was in and out a couple of times. I had a couple of my very closest friends over, which was lovely. And then lockdown, 3 weeks. He was 3 weeks old, and I did
Wow.
a soul for 5 months, apart from Manny. But he was at work as normal. So everyone else's partners who I knew were at home. They couldn't go to work. So they were at home. So great. They were having so much care. I was sat on my own with a 3 week old, and my husband was
Mm,
doing 12-hour shifts, and I didn't see anyone. I was completely
mm.
alone.
What did that feel like?
Absolutely horrendous. It was horrendous. And I was never scared of the virus. I was angry that it was happening. And I genuinely think that this tiny baby picked up on my anger or like so I wasn't fearful of the virus, but I was fearful of what on earth was going on in the world and how we were going to move past it. So all this fear, I think, projected onto him, and he was a really unsettled baby until around 5 months when things started to settle down, I guess, and things like opened up, and I was able to see other humans. He just cried all the time, cried all the time. He was never settled, even like skin to skin in the carrier. He was right here. Even when he was breastfeeding, he wasn't content. And I never got to the bottom of it. I didn't understand it, but all I can sort of put that down to now is the fact that yeah, I was fearful, so that must have passed on to him.
But now Fino is amazing and sweet, and you're a breastfeeding pro. When you were giving me tips, like you knew what to do.
Yeah, because when things were never awful, but it wasn't perfect. And I was like, we need to get this perfect. So like at the beginning, there was a little bit of pain. So I'm like, right, okay, why is this? Let's dive into this. Let's research this. Let's reach out to whoever we can reach out to. All the support groups were closed. So it was all on Zoom. But I joined Zoom calls all the time. I was constantly on Zoom calls, constantly getting this latch right. Is this right? Is this right? Try this, try this, try this, Google this. So even if, just little tweaks that needed to happen, but I really, really like worked on it. I worked
Did,
really hard on it.
why didn't you use formula?
Oh God, it made, honestly, the thought of giving my baby formula was like giving him poison. Those nights where he just screamed and screamed and screamed and didn't even like want to attach to me. And I was like, what's wrong with my baby? I don't know what to do. And Manny was like, should we try a bottle? Because I had pumped some off because I was producing a lot and it came out really quick to start off with, and it'd often sort of gag on it. So I had just a cup to collect a little bit at the beginning, and then I'd attach him on. So I had actually quite a lot of milk in the freezer. But even the thought of Manny giving him a bottle with my breast milk in it, I allowed it twice. And I remember the first time just feeling like so heartbroken, but nothing was working. He was just crying and I didn't know what to do. And he was just so tiny, and I think he did drink the bottle actually. But then after that, I thought, I'm not doing that again.
Yeah.
No, no, no. Oh, big boy. He's
Very
so
big boy.
big.
Yeah. Oh boy. Hey, we have our co-host here. And when did you feel like, that everything shifted? Because I know Fino still loves to breastfeed on you and loves mama so much.
Yeah. I think with the breastfeeding thing, it just got slowly better every day. I learned new positioning. I learned when things are hard, just go to bed, skin to skin, and just chill. um, so honestly, I think it was the fact that I was up and about, the fact that I tried to put him down sometimes, the fact that he was taken away straight away, the fact that had to go to the hospital, and if none of that had happened, and we just were never separated, maybe none of that would have happened. I truly believe that.
Mm.
And I'd have just been in my Zen space.
Mm-hmm.
None of that would have happened.
Sounds like you took the time to educate yourself. You didn't give up. You didn't give your baby formula.
No.
You were producing plenty of breast milk.
Yeah. Yeah. There was absolutely no way. And for my own diet, I was constantly reading labels. So I was very aware of what ingredients were and how to read ingredients. And when the second ingredient is vegetable oil, I'm thinking, what? Yeah. Even the most organic, expensive ones.
Even the brand Bobby has
We don't have
stuff.
Bobby.
Okay.
What's
There's
Bobby?
this high-end formula that was made in Europe that's now approved by the FDA in America. Now, everyone's hopping on to it. And yeah, the ingredients aren't even that much different than like a regular brand one, but the way it's promoted. Yep.
Yeah, I remember someone saying to me that the most expensive ones are no different from the cheap ones. And I'm sure they're not. It's funny because I always knew that I wasn't going to give my baby formula, and I'd never even bothered to look into it at all. It just wasn't an option for me. But we ran out of goat milk and they were pretty much weaned off it. But we just had a couple more days just to slowly wean them off. So we got some goat milk formula in because Google said goat milk formula, and that's the first time I properly read the ingredients, and that is a more higher end one, I suppose. And I thought, ew, I don't want to give my goats vegetable oil. And I think, wow, I'm giving this to their babies, and I don't want to give it to my goat.
Totally. I look at my dog food ingredients and I make sure there's no vegetable oils or processed seed oils. So when you have your next baby, what are you thinking?
I'm just gonna completely wild. I 100% not even gonna take a pregnancy test. I'm just gonna go about my life as normal. My diet will be completely different. I will be eating all the things that they tell you not to eat.
Raw milk, the raw
Raw
milk club,
milk, raw milk, raw liver, raw eggs,
fish.
fish. I don't think I cut out fish before. I was never super rigid on the things that they said you couldn't eat, but yeah, I definitely didn't consume raw liver. But I think I did eat pate. And I wasn't funny, I ate all the cheeses that they said you couldn't eat. But this time I'm gonna really focus on all those things.
Yeah, anything that the conventional diet for a pregnant mom says not to eat, go for it.
I know.
Yeah. I am not a medical licensed professional, but that's what I did as well. And we're all fine. I had kombucha as
Yeah.
well.
Oh yeah, I did, yeah. It's one of the only things that I could stomach because even the taste of water alone, like, oh, it's like it has like a metallic taste. Did you get that?
It just didn't taste good to me. I wanted
Yeah.
something else.
Yeah, I had to put something in it. But this time I'll try anything this time.
So, Amanda, we're going to be closing our lovely conversation. You mentioned you are serving women in birth.
Yeah, so not attending births because I am still breastfeeding. And my little one still very much needs me in the night. But I am supporting women through pregnancy and postpartum. And I'm still, oh,
Oh, Fino! I've only seen pictures and little footage, but not live. That's Fino live.
oh, have you not seen him live?
No. So cute.
Hello to baby Beyond.
Yeah. Hi, Fino.
Oh, Beyond saying hi.
So cute.
Baby's looking at you.
You've got a long tongue there.
Oh, that's really long for you know.
So you're serving women virtually.
Yes, virtually and in person if they live near me. So yeah, if
Which
anyone.
and which part of the UK do you live?
He said he was a baby.
Which part of the UK do you live?
I'm in Staffordshire, so it's like the Midlands. So I'm happy to go to all of the surrounding areas. Yeah, but I'm really focusing on building my community, and I've started up a prenatal circle and just general women's circles and just finding my tribe. Yeah.
Well, we'll plug you in the description below. Thank you so much for sharing your story and being so open about all of it.
Thank you so much. It was so lovely to speak to you and to see you.